September the 3rd, 2024, and I really do hope that everybody is having a wonderful day so far today. I just want to start off today's video and just really say thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for all the kind words that everybody said yesterday in the comments. I am still trying to finish getting back to everybody. There was like 250 something comments on yesterday's video. it was a lot, and the thing, I actually do read each and every single one of your comments fully, and I just don't reply with a generic reply. Each comment is read, and I reply accordingly to each one of the comments, and it just takes a while. I'm still trying to finish getting to everybody, and I got to go back and reply to the comments from the video from the day before too, because I haven't gotten to those yet as well. But I'm getting to them, and I'll have them all done by the end of the day today. But I just wanted to go ahead and get out here and film today's video, and what I want to talk about today is one of my favorite things in the entire world, which wasn't one of my favorite things in the world when I was a drinker. And what I want to talk about today is coffee. And coffee truly is like my favorite thing to consume out of everything in the world. And since I've stopped drinking, coffee has become a staple of my life. And I probably do drink more than I should. I'll be the first one to admit that, because I do. I drink a lot of coffee. A lot of coffee. But I gotta say, there's worse things to be drinking than coffee. And, will I say that I've probably replaced alcohol with coffee a little bit? I have to say I have. And like I said, I'll be the first one to admit that, yes, I do drink more than I probably should. But once again, I'm not drinking alcohol. And, what I wanted to talk about today is the benefits of coffee and what coffee can do for us. And, this is one of those topics, coffee's not for everybody. It's just like drugs or alcohol, each one's not for everybody. You might have tried something, you might have tried drinking, and it just didn't, work for you. And you don't like alcohol. It's, coffee's the same way. Not everybody likes coffee, and not everybody can drink coffee. Certain people out there with heart conditions and stuff like that, high blood pressure, because it can raise your blood pressure up. And some people just can't stomach it. It upsets some people's stomach. So if coffee's not for you, I get it. But, there are a lot of people out there who enjoy coffee like I do. And that's why I want to talk about it today is, how good coffee can be for you. And, what it can do for us, especially with improving our liver health, because it does. Now, the thing is that, you want to be drinking black coffee, and that's another thing. I know that a lot of people don't like to drink black coffee. And, I don't drink all of my coffee black. When I wake up first thing in the morning, I do use a 0 sugar creamer in my first cup of coffee for the day. It's just, I like a cup of coffee with some French vanilla creamer in there, and I just have one. But it's like my treat for the day. It's my breakfast. And sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll actually save my coffee with the creamer in it for nighttime, because I actually do have coffee a lot of times. It's like my dessert at night. And I'm one of those type of people that I can drink a cup of coffee and go right to sleep. It does not keep me awake like that. Now, when I was younger and when I didn't drink that much coffee, coffee used to make me have the jitters. I would have the shakes if I drank too much coffee. And I really started drinking coffee pretty heavy in my late 20s. I was drinking like a lot of coffee back then, but then I started drinking in the mornings, and I stopped drinking coffee because hot coffee and cold beer. Because when I started drinking in the mornings, I was drinking beer. I wasn't quite at the point where I was drinking liquor in the morning quite yet. That's when things just really got out of control for me. Not saying that drinking beer in the morning is a good thing, but I wasn't getting like 3 sheets to the wind at 8 o'clock in the morning when I was drinking beer. It took me a 12-pack of beer just to even really catch a buzz. And, 2 or 3 beers for me was just, I used to call it a snackatizer. That's what I used to call it. A couple beers. I used to tell everybody, I'm just gonna have a quick snackatizer, and that was beer for me. But anyway, I don't want to carry on about that for too long. The point of today's video is about coffee, and once again, what coffee can do for us and the benefits of coffee. Because, like I said, coffee is by far my favorite beverage. So, let's talk about what are some of the benefits of coffee, just in general. So, I've got 9 benefits right here. Let me put my glasses on really quick. It was like super bright out here. But anyway, so coffee can boost energy levels. Coffee contains caffeine, a central nervous system stimulant that's been known for its ability to fight fatigue and increase energy levels. So, once again, it says this is because caffeine blocks the receptors of a neurotransmitter called adenosine and increases levels of other neurotransmitters in your brain that regulate your energy levels, including dopamine. So, coffee or caffeine is dopaminergic. One small study found that consuming caffeine increased time to exhaustion during a cycling exercise by 12% and significantly reduced subjective levels of fatigue in participants. Another study had similar findings, reporting that consuming caffeine before and during a round of golf improved performance, increased subjective energy levels, and reduced feelings of fatigue. So, it can help us with our energy levels, which I can tell you right now I need. And I don't really feel the effects from it that much anymore. But when I don't drink coffee, I can tell. I definitely can tell. And, one of the things that comes along with liver disease is fatigue. I'm tired all the time. I'm tired right now, like exhausted. I don't know if you can see it in my eyes or not, but I'm like really, really tired right now. And I just had a cup of coffee before I came out here. And like I said, I drink coffee all day long. I probably drink somewhere between 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day. I'm just being completely honest with you guys. Now, there's days where I just can't drink that much coffee because I have a surgery or something like that. But I can tell you like this. When I wake up from my surgery, the first thing that I ask for is a cup of coffee. And while I'm in the hospital, in the recovery, I'm drinking coffee. And they all know me in there too. Sorry about the wind, guys, but they all know me in there, and they already know too that I'm gonna ask for a cup of coffee. So usually, like, right as I start to stir and wake up, they're already grabbing my coffee for me and bringing it to me, because like that's what I'm looking forward to. And you can't have coffee before you have your procedure. You can't have anything to eat after midnight. So I woke up that morning, didn't get my coffee, so the first thing I'm looking for is a cup of coffee after that. Another thing that coffee can do for us is it may be linked to a lower risk of type 2 diabetes, which is a really good thing right there. It says some research suggests that consuming coffee regularly could be associated with a decreased risk of developing type 2 diabetes over the long term. In fact, one review of 30 studies found that each cup of coffee people consume per day was linked to a 6% lower risk for developing type 2 diabetes. This is thought to be due to coffee's ability to preserve the function of the beta cells in your pancreas, which are responsible for producing insulin to regulate blood sugar levels. Plus, it's rich in antioxidants, which may affect insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and metabolism, all of which are involved in the development of type 2 diabetes. So, another thing could support brain health. Although studies have turned up mixed results, some research suggests that coffee may help protect against certain neurodegenerative disorders, including Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. According to one review of 13 studies, people who regularly consumed caffeine had a significantly lowered risk of developing Parkinson's disease. What's more, caffeine consumption also slowed the progression of Parkinson's disease over time. Another review of 11 observational studies and more than 29,000 people also found that the more coffee people consume, the lower risk of their Alzheimer's disease. Additionally, several studies have demonstrated that moderate coffee consumption could be associated with a lower risk of dementia and cognitive decline. Another great thing from drinking coffee, it may promote weight management. According to some research, coffee could alter fat storage and support gut health, both of which may be beneficial for weight management. For example, one review of 12 studies concluded that higher coffee consumption could be associated with a decreased body fat, especially in men. In another study, increased coffee intake was linked to the decreased body fat in women. Furthermore, one study found that people who drank 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day were 17% more likely to meet recommended physical activity levels compared with those who drank less than 1 cup per day. Higher levels of physical activity could help promote weight management. So, back to the point that it gives us more energy, helps us not be so fatigued. We're able to get, more exercise done. So we're just improving our overall health with it. It's linked to a lower risk of depression. Some studies have found that drinking coffee could be associated with a lower risk of depression. According to one review of 7 studies, each cup of coffee people consume per day was linked to an 8% lower risk of depression. Wow. So I drink like 5 cups of coffee a day, so I've got a 40% less chance of being depressed. Another study found that drinking at least 4 cups of coffee each day was associated with a significantly lower risk of depression compared with drinking just 1 cup per day. What's more, one study in more than 200,000 people showed that drinking coffee was linked to a lower risk of death by you-know-what. Starts with an S, so I'm not going to say the name. So another great reason why it can help us not be so depressed. And the thing is, why do a lot of us drink, and why would we drink when we would get depressed and then drink? Or either it's anxiety, and I think a lot of us have depression and anxiety, and were the reasons that we drank. And trauma, I think, is the bottom line and the base of a lot of us is trauma, depression, and anxiety, and coffee. And it just said right there, due to some studies, that an 8% decrease in the risk of depression each cup of coffee. I'm not saying go out there and drink 10 cups of coffee to get an 8% depression reduced risk, but having a couple cups of coffee every day can help significantly with that. And I can tell you guys, I drink a lot of coffee. And, I'm normally in a pretty good mood. And, my depression is not as bad as it was back in those days. Do I still get depressed? Yeah, absolutely. Do I still get anxiety? Yeah, but nowhere near the levels I did when I was a drinker, especially the depression. Now, of course, sometimes I'll start thinking about things and my health condition, and my mind will start to wander, and I'll start to feel a little depressed. But then what I do is, I'll get up and maybe go outside, get in the sun for a little bit, try to change my mind, put in my earbuds, listen to a podcast or an audiobook or something. And, another thing too is, I sit down and I'll pray. And, I think praying is a lot like meditation. We're setting our intentions, we're asking for what we want. Asking for guidance, asking for clarity. These are the types of things, I really do think that help us. It's almost a state of meditation. What's another thing? Could protect against liver conditions. And I'm going to talk more about what it can do for our liver here after I get done with just these basic things that coffee can do for us. But this is a big one right here. Interestingly, several studies suggest that coffee could support liver health and protect against disease. Now, I will say before I get into all this, because I did all this research before I did today's video. They're not really sure what the mechanism of action is, why coffee helps our liver the way it does. But there's been a lot of scientific studies that have been done, and they have found that coffee does improve liver health. They're not sure if it's the actual caffeine or if it's the antioxidants in the coffee, but there's like a whole bunch of different things in coffee that could be attributed to it. It could be all of them together. It could be just the caffeine, or it could be one of those specific items in the coffee. They're not really sure. They just know that drinking coffee does improve liver health. But it says here, for instance, one study found that drinking more than 2 cups of coffee per day was linked to lower rates of liver scarring and liver cancer in people with liver disease. Other research shows that the more coffee people drink, the lower risk of their death from chronic liver disease. Drinking 1 cup of coffee per day was tied to a 15% lower risk, while drinking 4 cups per day was linked to a 71% lower risk. 71% lower risk. 4 cups of coffee from dying from chronic liver disease. Another recent study found that coffee consumption was associated with decreased liver stiffness, which is a measure healthcare professionals use to assess fibrosis, the formation of scar tissue in the liver. So the summary is coffee consumption could be linked to a decreased risk of death from chronic liver disease, along with other conditions like liver scarring and liver cancer. And we're going to go a little bit more in depth in this here after I get done with these. Here's another one. Supports heart health. Some research shows that drinking coffee may benefit heart health. In fact, one review found that drinking 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day was tied to a 15% reduced risk of heart disease. Another review of 21 studies showed that drinking 3 to 4 cups of coffee daily was associated with a 21% lower risk of stroke. What's more, one study and more than 21,000 people also found that increased coffee intake was associated with a significantly decreased risk of heart failure. However, keep in mind that caffeine, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, keep in mind that caffeine could affect blood pressure levels. Therefore, people with unmanaged blood pressure may need to limit or moderate their caffeine intake. So if you have high blood pressure, it's probably not a good idea just to be drinking a whole lot of coffee, because it does raise blood pressure. The next one, could increase longevity. Some research suggests that coffee could help extend longevity thanks to its multitude of potential health benefits. For example, one review of 40 studies concluded that drinking 2 to 4 cups of coffee daily was associated with a lower risk of death, regardless of factors like age, weight status, and alcohol consumption. Similarly, another study in 1,567 people found that drinking caffeinated coffee was linked to a lower risk of death after 12 and 18 years of follow-up. Furthermore, drinking at least 1 cup of coffee per day was also associated with a lower risk of death from cancer. Interestingly, one test tube study showed that coffee was unable to significantly extend the lifespan of yeast by protecting against free radicals and DNA damage. However, more research is needed to determine whether this could have just applied to humans. The next one, may enhance athletic performance. Coffee is often used as an ergogenic aid by athletes looking to improve performance and increase energy levels. An ergogenic aid is also called a performance enhancer. One review of 9 studies reported that drinking coffee before exercise improved people's endurance and increased their perceived exertion compared with a control group. Another study in 126 older adults found that drinking coffee was associated with improved physical performance and faster gait speed, even after the researchers adjusted for factors like age, belly fat, and physical activity levels. So another really cool thing. So the bottom line here, coffee is a popular beverage that researchers have studied extensively for its many health benefits, including its ability to increase energy levels, promote weight management, enhance athletic performance, and protect against chronic disease. Keep in mind that some people may need to limit their intake, including people who are pregnant or breastfeeding, children and adolescents, and people with certain health conditions. Still, drinking coffee in moderation, about 3 to 4 cups per day, has also been associated with several health benefits and is generally considered safe for most adults. So there's some really cool things that coffee can do for us. Well, let's talk about what coffee can do for us for our liver. So here, drinking coffee is generally considered to be good for your liver, and there is evidence that it can reduce the risk of liver disease. Coffee may reduce the risk of liver damage, cirrhosis, and hepatocellular carcinoma, HCC, a type of liver cancer. It can improve liver enzyme levels. Coffee consumption may improve liver enzyme levels, especially in people at risk for liver disease. So, if you've been drinking for a long period of time, you've been drinking for a decade, and you just quit drinking and, you think your liver might, have had some damage. Coffee is a really good thing to consume because it helps with our liver a lot. It can also slow the progression of liver disease. Coffee may slow the progression of liver disease in some people. And, once again, I drink a lot of coffee every single day, and I love coffee, but also it's, when I first got sick, found out I had cirrhosis, it's one of the first things that I looked up was, what can I do to help myself with this? And one of the things was drink coffee. And I decided, well, I'm just going to start drinking coffee every day. And, I had a really hard time eating during that time period too. I just could not stomach food, especially when I first got out of the hospital the first time and the second time. Those were only a few months in between, and I was having a lot of pancreatic problems, and, my liver was really acting up during that period of time. I had jaundice. My ammonia levels were through the roof. It was just a mess. And, I couldn't eat a lot, but I could drink coffee. And I couldn't just drink it really fast, but it was something that I could drink. And I'm telling you guys, I fell in love with it. And I really wasn't that big of a coffee drinker before I found out I had cirrhosis. But, I stopped drinking. I kind of replaced the alcohol with coffee. And then it's got all these other benefits included in it as well. I just think it's a great addition in our arsenal of tools that we can use to improve our liver health, improve our health in general. Here's another thing too. It reduces liver stiffness. Drinking more than 3 cups of coffee a day may reduce liver stiffness. And if any of you guys have ever had a fibrosis test, they basically go in, they check the stiffness of your liver, and they give you a score. And, the stiffer our liver gets, the harder it is for the blood to flow through it. I've talked about this many times, but, think of your liver as like a water filter. When you get a brand new water filter, let's say you buy one of those Brita water filters that you fill up the pitcher and you put it in your fridge. When you first get that water filter, you get a brand new Brita, little jug. When you first get it, it's got the little area in the top. You pour the water in there, the water filters down through, and it fills up the container in the bottom. When you first get it, you pour the water in there, it basically filters right through immediately. But as time goes on, and, as the days go on, the more and more that we pour water in there and we start filling it up, what starts to happen? Well, that filter starts to get sediment, all kinds of garbage that's catching, the chemicals, the chlorine, all that kind of stuff that's catching, depending on your filter, what it's catching. And the more stuff that gets in those little teeny membranes inside that filter, the slower that water starts to pour through. Well, that's basically what's happening with our liver. So, if you have a really healthy liver, the blood flows through just like a brand new water filter. But as we drink or whatever else, because, cirrhosis and liver disease and all that stuff is not just caused because of drinking alcohol. There's a lot of other things that can happen. You have autoimmune disease, hepatitis. There's just a lot of stuff that can cause it. Starting with fatty liver and not doing anything about fatty liver and letting that progress to cirrhosis. There's a lot of people that are here on this channel that didn't drink. They just ended up with fatty liver because they drank too much soda or ate too much sugar or had an autoimmune disease, and then that progressed over from fatty liver to cirrhosis. So I just wanted to clarify that not all liver disease is created equal. It doesn't all come from the same reasons. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have ended up with the fatty liver and or cirrhosis or fibrosis, and they go to the doctor and they're getting the stigma from healthcare professionals sometimes, and it's not that most people think that when somebody has liver disease it comes from alcohol, and that's just not always the case. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are dealing with this, and they go and people think that they're a drinker and they're not. But anyway, once again, I'm getting off subject. Another thing that coffee can do is it acts as a diuretic. Coffee can act as a diuretic, which may help cleanse the liver and kidneys of harmful chemicals. Another thing too, with coffee being a diuretic, If you are dealing with ascites, number one, you're only allowed to drink. Well, you can drink as much as you want. You're not. I don't want to say allowed. You're only supposed to drink 2 liters of fluid a day, and what you drink, you want to make it count. You don't want to drink 2 liters of soda when you're dealing with ascites. You really want to be drinking water and stuff like that. But coffee is a great addition. And you can adjust your amount of coffee. If you have like a Keurig machine or something like that, it gives you the option. Do you want a 9-ounce, 8-ounce, 11-ounce cup, 12-ounce cup? Make yourself an 8-ounce cup of coffee. Make it the small one. And have coffee in place of drinking water. Not only is it a great thing to drink because it does all these great things for us. It's helping our liver, reduce the stiffness and all that stuff. But not just that, it's a diuretic. So if you're dealing with ascites, it's going to help you to pee out that excess fluid that you have inside your body. And if you're dealing with ascites, they're going to put you on diuretics and Lasix anyway, most likely. Especially Lasix in the beginning. They don't like you to stay on the Lasix for too long. But the thing is that you can add another tool once again in your toolbox of things that you can do to help yourself by drinking coffee, because it's a natural diuretic in itself. And like I said, you don't want to be taking the Lasix for too long. So if you're taking a diuretic and drinking coffee, you're really going to be getting a lot of that excess fluid out by urinating it out. And then on top of it, it's cleansing your liver and your kidneys out. I saw another thing too while I was doing my research today, that it said that drinking coffee can also help to prevent getting kidney stones, and I was not aware of that. There's another thing right there. I've never had kidney stones before, but after speaking to so many people here on the channel, because people have had all kinds of problems here, and I talk about my health problems, and people will share back with me their problems that they've had. And people have told me that having kidney stones is like very, very, very painful, like extremely, excruciatingly painful. And people have told me that you do not want to end up with kidney stones. So here you go. Drinking coffee can help reduce your kidney stones, prevent you from getting them. And if you're dealing with all this other stuff, all these other health complications, especially liver and pancreatic problems, you're already going to be in enough pain, and you're going to be pretty miserable anyway. Why end up with kidney stones as well? And if they can help prevent them, man, just another add-on in addition of why you would want to drink coffee. So here's something right here. However, coffee cannot always prevent liver disease. Other factors that can affect liver health include reducing alcohol consumption, which is, pretty much a no-brainer, eating a healthy diet, staying active, following your doctor's advice, and avoiding coffee with sugar, syrups, or creams. And like I said, I will have, a cup of coffee in the morning, first thing, with a little bit of creamer in it. And I don't, pour, a cup of it in there. It's like 2 tablespoons of creamer, and then that's it for the rest of the day. It's black coffee for me for the rest of the day. And it's not every day that I drink that as well. It's just that, every once in a while I wake up and I do want to have some creamer in there, especially on those mornings when you wake up and it's like right now, it's starting to cool off. This is by far my favorite time of the year. I love when it starts to get, where the leaves start to change, the weather starts to cool down, the days start to get a little bit shorter, the wind starts to pick up a little bit. And especially in the mornings and at night, oh my gosh, it's so nice to be outside in the mornings and at nighttime during this time of year, because it's just so cool. And when I get myself a nice hot, super hot cup of coffee with just a little bit of creamer in it, I love going out in the morning and sitting outside on my porch and just looking off into the woods. And that's the time when the deer are out and the rabbits are out and all the wildlife's out, prancing around. And it's just beautiful to sit out and watch the birds first thing in the morning. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do. But here's another thing too that I pulled up. This is from WebMD, and it's can coffee help your liver? And it's got a whole bunch of different things here of things that coffee may do for a liver, and it can help prevent liver disease or liver cancer. It can help prevent cancer in the lining of the uterus called the endometrium. Fibrosis, a disease that makes scar tissue from inside your liver. It's a reaction to conditions like hepatitis or alcohol use disorder. It can help prevent cirrhosis, a late stage of fibrosis. As the disease gets worse, your liver has a harder time doing its job. Non-alcohol related fatty liver disease, what we were just talking about, which develops when the liver cells store too much fat. It also helps keep your liver from working like it should. It can help with Parkinson's disease, a brain disorder that affects movement control, Alzheimer's disease. It can also help with gout, and I've talked about gout. I've had gout for a very long time, and I can promise you do not want to end up with that. Gout type of arthritis that happens when you have too much uric acid in your blood, and it forms sharp crystals in one or more of your joints. It says here, if you're a big-time coffee lover, the news gets better. The more you drink, the more your chances of liver disease go down. In one study, researchers found that putting away 2 cups a day cut the odds of cirrhosis by 44%. And 4 cups a day lowered them by 65%. Those are crazy numbers. I mean, 2 cups of coffee reduces by 44%, and then by drinking 4 cups a day, 65%. I mean, that's like a miracle right there. I mean, really. If you already have a problem with your liver, coffee may help with that. Research shows that moderate amounts, typically between 1 and 3 cups a day, may slow down the following conditions: fibrosis, cirrhosis, hepatitis B and C, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So how does it help? In addition to caffeine, coffee has more than 1,000 chemicals. Doctors are still trying to figure out what the body does with them that makes coffee helpful. Here are a few pieces of the puzzle. When your body digests caffeine, it makes a chemical called paraxanthine that slows the growth of scar tissue involved in fibrosis. That may help fight liver cancer, alcohol-related cirrhosis, non-alcohol-related fatty liver disease, and hepatitis C. 2 chemicals in coffee, K-wall and cafestol, may help fight cancer. Doctors aren't sure how powerful the effect is, but some think moderate amounts of unsweetened coffee could work alongside the main treatments for most common kinds of liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, which we talked about earlier. Acids in coffee may work against the virus that causes hepatitis B. One study found that decaf coffee could have the same benefit. Studies have found that coffee helps men and women equally, and the benefits show up no matter how the coffee is made, filtered, instant, or espresso. Coffee as medicine. Doctors think coffee might become an important weapon in the fight against liver disease. After all, it isn't easy to get and doesn't have to cost much, But at this point, doctors don't have enough information to recommend any specific amount, and coffee may not be for everyone. Even though it might help your liver, it may raise your chances of other conditions. For example, some chemicals in it may raise your cholesterol level or blood pressure. That could be a caution sign for people with high blood pressure, children and teens, and older adults. No matter how good coffee might be for you, the key to taking care of your liver is still your lifestyle. Eating healthy food, go easy on the alcohol, watch your weight, get vaccinated for hepatitis A and B, and avoid sharing needles, and get regular exercise. So, guys, the proof is there, and I'm just going to put my sunglasses back on really quick, but the proof is there. It is, coffee is great for us. It's great for our liver. It can really help us along, especially, if you've been drinking for a really long time and you're looking for a natural way to help heal your liver, to maintain your liver health. Coffee is a great tool to add to our arsenal. I just can't say more about coffee. Once again, though, coffee is not for everybody. If you have high blood pressure, heart conditions, things like that, it's just one of those things. Talk to your doctor about it first and make sure that it's okay for you to drink it. And, check with your doctor and make sure that, drinking 2 to 4 cups of coffee a day is okay for you. I've spoken to my doctor about coffee over and over again. I've told him how much I like my coffee. And he doesn't have a problem with it at all. You know, I don't have high blood pressure. I do have high portal blood pressure. I have portal hypertension. And you know, the thing is that it's still not where they want it to be. They would like my portal hypertension to be a little bit lower, but it's not quite there yet, and we'll just see what happens with that. But my point is that you know, just check with your doctor, make sure that it's okay for you to drink that much coffee, but it can have really good results. And you know, I can tell you guys, you know, when I first was hospitalized, my liver numbers were through the roof. And then the second time I got hospitalized, my liver numbers were through the roof. And not just that, I ended up with jaundice. I had dark urine. My skin was turning orange. My eyes were orange or yellow. You know, I was getting all of it, the ascites and all that. And my MELD score was through the roof. It was in the 30s. And the last time that I had my MELD score checked, my MELD was a 7. Now, is it necessarily the coffee? I don't know. I don't know what it is that's brought my MELD score down. You know, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. And I plan on doing a video this week and talking about all the things that I have done personally that I think have improved my liver health. And I'm just going to talk about my lifestyle, the things I eat, things I do on a daily basis, you know, and just make a whole video about the things that I've done that I think have helped improve my life and improve my health in general, and especially improve my liver health. And one of them is coffee. You know, the great thing about coffee is not only is it great for us in general, for our general health, but it's also great for our liver. And the one thing that I can say about coffee, and I'll tell you guys this, it is a great supplement for alcohol. You know, when you're thinking about having a drink, make yourself a cup of coffee. I'm telling you, that hot beverage, you're drinking it, you're not going to drink it super fast, you're going to sip on it, and it just is a nice replacement for the booze. And not just to mention that it's a nice replacement for the booze, but, you know, we get these hand-mouth addictions as well. It's like smoking cigarettes. You know, we get that addiction of doing this all the time. Same thing with alcohol. You get used to doing this. Taking that cup, put it into your mouth, or putting the bottle to your mouth every single time. We need something to fill that gap. And having a cup of coffee, you know, you got that mug, you know, you got to grab onto it, pick it up, take it to your mouth each time. And like I said, you're taking sips of it, especially if you got it piping hot. I cannot drink cold coffee. I'm not a cold coffee drinker. I never have been. It's just something I don't really care for. I will drink it, but I like my coffee to be piping hot to the point where it will burn my mouth if I drink it too fast. I like to sip on super hot coffee, especially in the early morning when it's nice and cool outside this time of year. And when we get to like winter time too, oh man, I will get it'll come out of the coffee machine, and then I take it and put it in the microwave. So I always make my coffee in a microwave safe cup, so I can put it in the microwave, and then I'll heat it up for like another 45 seconds to get it where it's like starting to boil almost. And then I'll drink it because I want to sip on that hot beverage. And you know, you wake up in the morning, your throat's a little dry, you might have a little bit of a sore throat, especially if you slept all night long with your mouth open. You guys know what I'm talking about. You drink that hot coffee in the morning, man, it just helps like open up your nasal passages. It helps soothe your throat, especially if your throat's a little bit sore. It just makes you feel better, gives you a little bit of caffeine, you're getting that energy, and I don't know, it's just such a great start to the day, and it's something to look forward to every day. I look so forward to my coffee. I'm not kidding you guys. I promise you. When I go to bed at night, I can't wait to wake up in the morning so I can have my first cup of coffee in the morning. Like, that's how much I enjoy it. We have a Ninja coffee machine is what I use, and it takes the pods. Every night before I go to bed, the first thing I do before I get in my bed is I go straight to my coffee machine. I put a new pod in it, make sure the water's full, and I put a brand new clean coffee cup underneath of there, and all I have to do when I wake up in the morning is push down on that thing to activate the pod, and I hit start, and it's ready to go. And as soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm not kidding you guys, before I go pee or anything, the first thing I do is I walk straight to my coffee machine, hit the start button, and then I go to the bathroom, wash my face, brush my teeth, and by the time I'm done with that, my coffee's already made. I take that, throw that in the microwave, get it really hot, and then I start my first cup of the coffee for the day. And my mood from right that moment improves. I'm happy. I've got my coffee. You know, when I was in the hospital all those times too, it's like that was all I looked forward to. Especially when I had to have surgery. You know, they won't let you eat or drink anything for 12 hours. And then after I'd wake up, that like was the first thing I would ask for, is a nice hot cup of coffee. And it just made everything, especially after having an endoscopy done or an ERCP, you know, because they're going down your throat with that scope and all that, it can really irritate your throat. So for any of you guys out there who are dealing with the ERCPs or having to have an endoscopy done, when you wake up from that, ask for a nice hot cup of coffee. I promise you, it really does help to improve that soreness in your throat when you wake up, because you will wake up with a sore throat, especially if you've been in there for a long time. Endoscopy can, you know, you can end up with a sore throat from that, but if they're doing an ERCP, there's times where they're in there for an hour, 2, 3 hours sometimes doing ERCPs, and they're going in and out of your throat and pulling out those arms and all that kind of stuff. It can really, really irritate your throat. I've had times where I've woken up and I could barely even speak because my throat hurts so bad from them being in there for so long. I've always asked for hot coffee, and it has helped me so much when I wake up from that sore throat after they've been in there. So if you're dealing with the ERCP, ask for a nice hot cup of coffee. I really do think it helps dramatically. And then on top of it, it's helping us with our, you know, our pancreas health and our liver health at that too. I mean, it just said right there that, you know, it helps with the beta cells in our pancreas and helps, you know, protect our pancreas so that we can produce insulin. And there's another thing too. You do not want to end up with diabetes. I think diabetes is one of the worst things that you can end up with. It's just horrible. You're constantly fighting your blood sugar. It's too high, it's too low, and it makes you feel horrible. I'll do a video on it one day and just talk about diabetes. But anyway, guys, we are at 42 minutes right now. I have been just talking and talking and talking. I did not realize I've gone this long. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here for today. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And I definitely think coffee, once again, is a great tool to add to our arsenal to help with our liver health. And it's natural. You know, one thing you do need to look for is organic coffee. I know it's rather expensive, but the one thing about coffee is like one of the worst sprayed, you know, things that we consume. They spray coffee beans with all kinds of pesticides and all kinds of chemicals. You really want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, do your research, and make sure that you're getting a good organic coffee that's not full of pesticides and chemicals or GMO or whatever, because we really want to make sure that we're not bringing a bunch of that stuff into our body, because when we do, it's getting passed to our liver. And if we've got liver damage, the last thing we want to be doing is adding extra stress to it by drinking something that's just full of, you know, pesticides. Those things are horrible for our liver. They're horrible for us in general. So just, like I said, do your due diligence. I know it's more expensive, but at the end of the day, it's your health. It's your liver. And if you're going to be drinking a hefty amount of it, you know, just look for those types of things. And if you're using like the little coffee pods, those things are super expensive. They sell, if you go on Amazon, they sell these little cups that you can fill up with your coffee grinds. I know that using the pods is easy and it makes life a lot easier, but you can buy those metal pods that are refillable, and you can just close the lid and just pop it in your machine, and there you go. And they're super cheap. They're like $8 for like 10 of them, and they last forever. I've got a whole slew of them in the house. They're made out of stainless steel, and you know, you can go ahead and fill a couple of them up and put them in a resealable bag, and you're done. And, you know, like I said, you know, all you gotta do is toss it right in your machine, close it. It works just like a regular pod does. And that way you can buy a nice big bag of like a really good, clean, organic coffee. And then you can, you know, make your own pods and use those throughout the day. Because I do know they are super convenient to have the pods. I like using them myself, but I use the refillable ones because it just makes more economic sense for me. And you can get way more variety of coffee. Not all coffees are put in those pods. And I myself, I think that the coffee in the pods does not taste as good as the loose coffee, especially if you grind your own. You can get yourself a coffee grinder on Amazon for like $19. one of the best investments I ever made. You know, grinding up your own coffee, fresh beans, and then, you know, putting those fresh ground coffee grinds in the little cup, and then making your own coffee. It's a night and day. It's just like, you know, there's tons of methods of making coffee. The one thing I will say is that, you know, you want to be careful, like using a French press. When you use a French press, there's a lot of stuff that, like some bad stuff. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's some stuff in the coffee that when you run it through a paper filter that gets, that comes out of the coffee. I know that if you're using a French press, it can't, those chemicals or whatever that are left over can raise your cholesterol. So you probably want to stay away from using a French press. I used a French press for years. I enjoy the taste of coffee that's been made in a French press a little bit better. But once again, it will raise your cholesterol if you're using a French press. So you're better off using something. Those little cups, they have a little paper filter in them. Or just use a coffee machine and, you know, use a paper filter. But just do your research on it. I'm so out of time right now. I'm at like 15 minutes. I need to stop talking about this. There's so many things I could talk about with coffee. But once again, just do your homework and look at it. But like I said, using a French press will raise your cholesterol levels. I was trying to talk my father into getting a French press years ago because I got one and enjoyed it so much. And my dad has cholesterol problems. And I did some research on it before he went and bought one for himself. And I told him, I said, you don't need to do this because it will raise your cholesterol. My dad has to get those shots like 4 times a year or something. They're very expensive. My dad's had some serious cholesterol problems for a long time, so he couldn't use the French press. But once again, I'm at like 50 minutes right now, so I got to go. But I can talk more about this in another video at some point. I'll do another video a little bit later down the road with a little bit more detail, because once again, there is so much to talk about coffee. There is so much more. I just really wanted to touch on, you know, some of the main highlights, but I can make another video and dig deeper into some more stuff that I found. But once again, I ran out of time. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see each and every single one of you tomorrow. Love you guys so much, and until then, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.